Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Charlie Cobra Reviews. I just want to say I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is going to be our review for the new Mortal Kombat 2021. If you like the video, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to our channel for our latest reviews, and click on the notification button so you can be notified about our latest videos. Now for the review. So I thought this movie was good. I kind of had high expectations going into it, and I can say that in some ways it lived up to the hype, and in a lot of other ways it didn't. This movie certainly isn't your daddy's Mortal Kombat, and delivered the goods when it came to blood and gore, but I have to say that it was a little more than disappointing when it came to the plot of the movie and how they rearranged or changed up the storyline. I for one love the opening of the movie, the one that you can see the first 7 minutes of right now everywhere on the internet. How it opens up with the history of the characters, Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I thought that was just awesome. I have to admit that I'm a real big Mortal Kombat fan, and especially of Scorpion. He's probably my favorite character. So to see the backstory to his character done right was just great. I'm still mixed on how I feel about the new kid to the group, Cole Young. Louis Tan did a pretty good job on playing the character in the movie, and his action scenes were pretty great even if his lines weren't. I guess I'm just not that big of a fan of the director throwing in a character into the story that wasn't in any of the games. I also didn't like how they took poetic license, so to speak, with the whole storyline of the franchise and made some rather big changes to the whole Mortal Kombat universe. I guess kind of giving it that Hollywood treatment and just making it or doing it however they like the origin of their powers or even the significance of the whole dragon markings that they have. I'll go over in detail all the things that I like and didn't like in the spoiler section. Although I have my qualms to pick with this film, it was quite enjoyable and I really liked watching it in theaters. That being said though, I think it's worth waiting to see this movie or watch it at home on HBO Max instead of paying more to see it in theaters. And I'm pretty at odds on whether to give it my must-see seal of approval because, for certain fans of the franchise, they're either going to love it or hate it. And for other people that are just seeing a Mortal Kombat movie for the first time, I don't know if it has enough draw there for them. And therefore, I don't think that, I can really put that must-see seal of approval on this movie. But you should definitely see it if you're a fan of the old movies or the video games. You should definitely check this movie out. And, like I said, I'll go over more in the spoiler section. But for now, I give this movie a 6 out of 10. Next up is going to be the spoiler section review, so I'll give you a little bit of time to pause the video or come back and see it at a later time, because since I like the Mortal Kombat franchise so much, we're definitely going to depth on this one. Get over here! Man, this movie really delivered with the blood, guts, and gore with its rated R rating and its really awesome action scenes and great special effects and CGI. I was really impressed with the way they made Sub-Zero look, and the opening scenes of the movie showing the past and history of Scorpion and Sub-Zero's characters. Hanzo Hasashi, or Scorpion, was a beast killing all those Lin Kuei ninja after Bihan or Sub-Zero killed his family, and their duel was awesome and the stuff of legends. I'm just really disappointed in a lot of the changes they did to the storyline of the Mortal Kombat universe and how they presented a lot of things in this film compared to the original movies and especially the video games. So first off, like I said in the non-spoiler section, Louis Tan was really good as Cole Young. I just kind of didn't like his character that much, and it's not like I hated him. He's a pretty cool character, and I like his motivations to keep his family safe and how he goes along with everything. I guess I just don't like how they could have had a different character in the movie instead of him, like Johnny Cage, or also how the way they diminished the role of Liu Kang, who was played by Ludi Lin, to a side character. I thought that, he looked like a pretty good Liu Kang and he did a good job, and they could have had him in there a lot more. So in the beginning of the movie, they show Cole Young fighting as an MMA fighter, which is pretty cool, and Jax asks him about his dragon tattoo, which turns out to be something that he was born with. This is interesting as the old movies, mainly the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, there were some dragon tattoos that wound up being a sign of Raiden's father, the elder god Shinnok. They were seen on enemies working for Shao Kahn, who in that movie wound up being Raiden's brother. Now, in this movie, the dragon symbols are supposed to mark those who have been chosen to fight in Mortal Kombat. The movie shows Shang Tsung ordering Bi-Han, who now calls himself Sub-Zero, to kill Earthrealm's champions and prevent an ancient prophecy stating the blood of Hanzo Hasashi will unite a new generation of champions, preventing Outworld's 10th and final victory over Earthrealm. As far as I know, this isn't in the old movies or in the video game, but not a horrible idea or concept. Sub-Zero goes after Cole Young, and Jax rescues him and his family and tells him to find Sonya Blade before going after Sub-Zero alone. I thought this was pretty dumb for him to go after him solo, and thought that there was going to be like a group of soldiers or cops, or that he would get some sort of backup, going after Sub-Zero at the same time. But nope. So this goes about as good as expected, and well, from watching the trailer, we all knew what was going to happen, especially if you played the games. So Sub-Zero easily defeats Jax and freezes and breaks off both his arms, but the fight between them was pretty good, and I like it a lot, even though it was kind of one-sided. I mean, it's kind of what you think of, what would happen, even if it was a hardcore soldier, a seasoned veteran going up against a character out of Mortal Kombat. They would definitely lose. So Cole gets to Sonya, who actually has Kano captured at her hideout already. And Kano was a character I think they did really well. I mean, he really steals the show and steals the scene and, almost every scene that he's in. And I can't believe that I like Kano so much in this movie, but he was really funny. I just wish they would have left him as a bad guy, because they totally changed him into a good guy in this movie, which I guess, I admit that, he was a pretty funny character and led to a lot of laughs, but Kano's not a good guy, and he's supposed to be as rotten as they come, and they failed in showing him that way big time. But, I guess if they were going to make him into a good guy, that they did a good job. It's just, it's not what I expected. Sonya tells Cole that the dragon mark can be transferred to anyone who kills the bearer, which is pretty dumb in my opinion. I mean, this has nothing to do with the games or movies, and seems like something they just, thought would be cool, so they threw it in there. I mean, they get attacked by a reptile monster that Shang Tsung sends after them, which was kind of cool because of it being a throwback to the original movie and the terrible reptile CGI that they had in that one. And it's done a lot cooler in this movie, where the invisibility, the way that he had the acid spit, and the tongue that he uses to grab Cole from across the room. But I kind of think it would have been a lot cooler if they would have thrown in a character like Baraka instead, but that's just my opinion. So they all fight Reptile together, and Kano rips his heart out all badass. Then they travel to Raiden's temple and train with Liu Kang and Kung Lao after being brought before Raiden himself, who isn't impressed with them in the least. Raiden, by the way, was done pretty good in this movie. The only thing I was super critical of was that they didn't give him the white hair, but his eyes were glowing. They did that pretty awesome. And another thing was they could have made him more likable, because he was kind of indifferent to the Earthrealm champions instead of embracing them like in the original movie. And he kind of lacked that charisma that Christopher Lambert had. Shang Tsung boldly attacks them at Raiden's temple with Sub-Zero and Mileena by his side, which is totally out of character to me. In the original movie, Shang Tsung was way more cunning and a lot more evil compared to this version, and I think that they totally underplayed his character and didn't do him justice. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who played Shang Tsung in the original Mortal Kombat, was way more charismatic to me, and definitely came off as scarier and more evil, as well as more clever. He had a lot of those lines like, "You pathetic fools," and, "I've come for your souls." So, I don't think that the character Shang Tsung would have openly attacked the Earthrealm champions, especially when Raiden himself is there to protect them. Just doesn't make sense. Well, anyways, Raiden sets up a protection barrier, so they train with Liu Kang and Kung Lao, which I have to say, both actors and their characters were awesome in their portrayals. Were spot on. And it's a shame in a movie where Asian actors are the stars that they were forced into the background as secondary characters. They are trying to unlock the other fighter's Arcana, which is a special power unique to all Dragon Mark bearers. And this was really different concept and veers way off course from the video games and prior movies, and was okay when I was watching the movie, but the more I think of it, I really don't like that they made this a thing. I mean, part of Mortal Kombat is that you don't have to explain with all these powers. You just, come along for the ride. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense to me, and it turns out it comes off as, not stupid. It just, it doesn't need to mention it, but doesn't explain any of the powers for everyone else, like Sub-Zero or Shang Tsung, but whatever. So Kano unlocks his power, which is his signature laser eye, which doesn't make sense now because he doesn't have a metal implant on his face, and Cole, unable to unlock his, is allowed to go back to his family. Also, Jax has been recovering after he was rescued by Liu Kang, who saved him, but is being treated for his arms and now has these mechanical skeletal arms that are rather flimsy looking instead of the robotic cybernetic ones from the video games. He too is trying to unlock his Arcana. Shang Tsung mounts another attack on the Earthrealm fighters after recruiting some additional fighters such as Nitara, General Reiku, Goro, and Cabal, who advise Shang Tsung that Kano can be persuaded to switch sides. Now this was confusing to me because I always remember Cabal being a good guy, so they totally changed Kano to a good guy in this movie and Cabal to a bad guy, which was kind of unnecessary in my opinion because they could have just done it the other way. But, I didn't think they could get me to like Kano as a good guy, but he was pretty likable compared to the old one who was quite despicable. Also, the characters that they had on the bad guy side were pretty cool, but I don't understand, with all the characters that they had to choose from, why they kind of chose not even a B list, but, C list characters. Why they would choose Reiko and why they would give him a sledgehammer. They pretty much just made him come off as a poor Shao Kahn knockoff. And they could have put in a lot more cooler characters. Like I said, Baraka. They could have got the ninja version of Reptile. They could have even thrown in Smoke or even Ermac. But, Kano destroys the barrier Raiden set up from within after switching sides at the same time that Goro is sent to kill Cole and his family. The editing and cuts in these scenes were done pretty bad, or at least the pacing was off or something because it didn't feel quite right to me, but the fight scenes themselves were pretty good. In the ensuing battle, Kung Lao defeats Nitara rather easily, and we don't even get to see what she can do, just Kung Lao going off with his spinning hat fatality. Also, Melina chooses to not even fight Sonya because she doesn't have a dragon mark and so isn't even worth killing. Now, Cabal is easily one of the coolest bad guy characters that they showed, and when he shows his speed power in his battle against Liu Kang, it was pretty awesome. Cole awakens his Arcana fighting Goro, and the fight with Cole against Goro was really cool because I didn't expect for Goro to come out until the end of the movie, because the first film they hinted at him but didn't show him at first, which they kind of did a throwback to in this one. But not only was I surprised that he wasn't the main big bad in the movie, but also how Cole is just able to kill him so easily after learning his power, which is not really even a power, but just this armor that covers his body and some weapons, these tonfas that he summons. I can't believe they did Goro dirty like that, and they let a nobody like Cole Young defeat him. Goro is so hard to beat in the original Mortal Kombat game, and he's literally a legendary fighter. He defeated the original Kung Lao, who this Kung Lao is a descendant of, and he continued to win every Mortal Kombat after that, undefeated, and solely responsible for the 9-win streak that Outworld has over Earthrealm. I don't remember all the specifics of the fights in this scene, but I don't remember Sub-Zero being as involved as he should have, as well as Shang Tsung, who barely does anything except move his head to dodge Kung Lao's hat at one point. Reiku takes out Jax, who goes to protect Sonya, and Kano uses his laser eye to drop a statue and debris down on them. That's where later Jax awakens his Arcana, which winds up being his signature iconic robot arms, which doesn't really make sense, but he lifts a boulder off of Sonya. And Cole returns after defeating Goro by Raiden's teleport, and Raiden teleports the other fighters out of harm's way after telling Shang Tsung and Sub-Zero that Cole is of Hanzo Hasashi's bloodline. Now, before they all leave, however, Kung Lao is defeated by Shang Tsung, who steals his soul when he defends Cole from Sub-Zero. Now, they all mourn the loss of Kung Lao, and Cole comes up with a plan of taking their opponents on one by one before joining up against Sub-Zero together, and Raiden teleports them all to their targets. Liu Kang fights Cabal in a pretty good fight, where he does a fatality on him with this fire dragon. Jax fights Reiko and fatalities him as well and crushes his head with his new robotic arms. Sonya has a pretty decent fight with Kano, but a really lackluster finish where she impales him with a lawn gnome from her front yard, stabbing him right through the eye. And honestly, I was sad to see Kano go because he was such a likable character in this movie and a lot of the comic relief. But she gets his dragon mark and unlocks her Arcana in time to help Cole defeat Mileena, without even any training in her power. So suddenly Sub-Zero appears, luring Cole into a one-on-one fight by abducting his family, and even though he's unlocked his Arcana, Sub-Zero is quite the adversary for him. While they're fighting, Cole's blood falls on the kunai belonging to Hanzo Hasashi, given to him by Raiden, and releasing Hasashi from the Netherrealm. He's been reborn as the vengeful specter Scorpion, and recognizing Cole as his descendant, they both fight against and defeat Sub-Zero, with Scorpion burning him to death with his Hellfire fatality. Now, this was probably the best fight scene in the whole movie, and worth waiting the whole movie for. In a way, I'm kind of glad they made Sub-Zero the big bad instead of Shang Tsung, because I feel that this ending was way more satisfying. I also like that while they were fighting, Sub-Zero's armor gets damaged, and he actually removes some of it to move faster, and he has the look of another character, Noob Saibot from the Mortal Kombat games. Now, if I remember correctly, Noob Saibot is actually Sub-Zero that comes back from the dead, and the Sub-Zero that comes out in the games after the first one is actually Sub-Zero's brother. And I think he winds up being a good guy instead of a bad guy from there on. Scorpion departs as Raiden and others arrive, but not before telling Cole to look after the Hasashi bloodline. And Shang Tsung also arrives and vows revenge, teleporting his dead champions back to Outworld before Raiden banishes them from Earthrealm. Raiden tells the remaining champions that they will need more champions for the next tournament, and the movie ends with Cole telling his old fight promoter or manager that he's given up fighting for $200 and going to Hollywood. It then cuts to a poster of Johnny Cage before going to the credits. Like I said, quite an enjoyable movie. Definitely did a lot of things right, like Sub-Zero and the Scorpion characters, Liu Kang and Kung Lao, even Sonya Blade and Jax. The action scenes and blood and gore and really great effects, but also equally did some pretty terrible things story-wise, like adding a character that isn't even in the video games as the main character, not really giving them very much lines, and the lines they did were kind of terrible. Changing Kano to a good guy, making us like him, then killing him in the end. Doing great characters like Shang Tsung and Goro dirty. Putting characters like Liu Kang and Kung Lao as secondary characters. And not to mention the whole thing with the dragon markings and Arcana powers. I really wanted to give this movie a higher score or rating, but I'm not sure if it's because I'm such a fan of the games and the movies, or if it's because all the hype going into it. Well, with all these qualms or issues I have with it, I have to give this movie a 6 out of 10. I would recommend that you don't rush to go see it in theaters, unless you're a big fan of the franchise or games, or if you just really want to see it, because, you might just be disappointed. But if you have HBO Max, or if you're thinking about getting it for this movie, then I would definitely recommend it for that. Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy day and checking out this review. Remember to like the video and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date on our latest videos, and hit that notification button if you don't want to miss any. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and if you like watching video games, check out our live streams on Twitch, where we're streaming every day, and our other channel here on YouTube, where we post the streams at a later time. I'm Charlie Cobra, and have a great day.